Hey guys, one of the most often asked questions I get from runners, not only online but on from over the years at RunDreamAchieve.com, is how to break 5 minutes in the mile. A sub 5 minute mile definitely involves you really working in on your speed. Now, you may be in high school, or maybe you're a collegiate athlete trying to break 5 minutes for the mile, or maybe you're an advanced long distance runner and you're trying to improve your speed. I think the bare minimum that you really need to be able to run 800 meters in to break a 5 minute mile is around 2:15. So anywhere from 2 minutes and 10 seconds to 2 minutes and 15 seconds. If you can get your 800 meter down to that fast of a time, you're going to be able to hold 75 seconds per lap for those 4 laps. You really have to drill down, especially on that third lap of the mile. The mile is really, in high school, it's 1,600 meters, but the correct distance for 1 mile is 1,609 meters. So the majority of athletes that are competing in high school are running 4 laps or 1,600 meters. So in general, to run 4 laps in 4 minutes and 59 seconds, you need to average 75 seconds per lap over the 4 lap distance. So how to break 5 minutes in the mile? Very good question. It definitely does not happen overnight. So you're going to have to, one, build up your endurance, because it is an anaerobic event. You do have to have some leg speed to break 5 minutes. My personal best, to give you an idea, so I do have some background with this. I'm mainly a marathon distance runner. My personal best for the marathon is 2 hours, 19 minutes, and 35 seconds, but I did run 4 minutes and 22 seconds for the mile. I had a personal best of 4 minutes and 25 seconds for the mile when I was in high school. Improved it a little bit, a few seconds, to 4:22 when I was in college. Never ran it after college, but I can tell you some of the things that I was doing to get under 5 minutes for the mile was just continuing to focus on building my weekly mileage. I don't think you don't have to run very high mileage to break 5 minutes, but you do have to start zeroing in on what do I need to do in order to make 75-second 400 meter pace feel a little bit easier, so I can get to at least that. I can really hammer down that last 400 meters. You can still go through, you need to be able to go through around 220 to 225 through the first 800 meters, and then really have to have some kind of buffer in those last 2 laps of the mile. Granted, you can go out at, say, 230 through the half and run a negative split and come back with a 229, and that'll give you 459 for the mile. But I do know you're going to have to do a combination of a few things. One, you're going to need to continue to build that strong foundation of mileage. So I don't think you need to really run more than you can break a 5 minute mile on 20 to 30 miles a week if you're really focusing in on training at sub 5 minute mile pace at least once a week in track workouts. You want to do examples of workouts that I would do to break a 5 minute mile would be maybe between 8 to 12 400 meter repetitions, anywhere from 115 to 117. Granted, 117 is a little bit slower than your goal pace, but if you're doing between 8 to 12 reps at that type of intensity, you're doubling the distance, even tripling the distance of the mile itself. So if you can do 12 repetitions, 400 meter reps between 115 and 117 with anywhere from 1 to 2 minutes recovery, man, you're going to be super strong for running 1 mile under 5 minutes. One, because you're giving yourself a little bit of rest, but you're tripling the distance that you're planning on racing at. So it's going to make you very anaerobically strong, because you're doing the repetitions, but you're doing triple the distance. You're giving yourself minimal rest early on. Early on, you're not going to be in very good shape. So trying to do 8 to 12 repetitions this fast early on is a no-go. So I want you, if you're training to break, if you're really wondering how to break 5 minutes in the mile, then you have to know that one, you're going to have a lot of patience to know that early on you're just not going to be able to hit the types of paces you're aiming for. You know, if you're training for say 12 weeks to break a 5-minute mile, your first 3 weeks you need to be doing maybe 4 to 8 400-meter reps on the track once per week at say 120 to a minute and 20 seconds to a minute and 25 seconds early on. And then as you get fitter, lowered it down, you know, maybe go to 118 per rep. And then as you get fitter and fitter, you want to extend the amount of repetitions you're doing and then get faster per rep. You know, get to a point where you're doing between 8 to 12 repetitions, 400-meter reps on the track at around 114 to 117 per repetition. And early on, you're going to need a little bit more rest. But as you get fitter, you want to lower the rest recovery between each rep, and you want to speed up your repetitions. So track workouts are very important. Even extending the amount of duration of how long you're running is very important, because it's going to build that strength and that endurance that you're going to need in the mile. But you also got to remember that the mile is such a highly anaerobic event that you do want to train your Vo2Max. You want to do those Vo2Max workouts just like you want to do, like I speak a lot on longer endurance type events like the 10K to marathon distance. But I do know from my background with the mile and the 1500 meter that doing those workouts like 3 to 6 1-mile repetitions on the track, or doing tempo runs on the roads where if you're wearing a heart rate monitor, I highly recommend it, where you're training at your anaerobic threshold. You want to improve that part of your physiological training as well, so that you teach your body to clear lactic acid more efficiently, which you're going to need that. You're going to the mile event is such a fast-paced, quick race that you're going to need to improve your lactate tolerance. And the faster paced races like the 800, the 400 meter, the 100 meter to the mile event, you need to really work on your speed. So twice a week I would recommend doing strides. Strides are very short paced, or short in duration, anywhere from 50 meters to 100 meters. But you're working anytime you're working all out efforts, whether it's a Vo2Max workout once per week where you're doing like repeat 200 meters at faster than goal race pace, so that in your case you're training to break 5 minutes, so you want to do your repeat 200 meters at around 37 seconds, per rep. So get to a point where you're doing, if you can get to 10 to 20 200 meter reps at around 37 seconds per rep, that's 114 mile pace, or 452 mile pace. Telling you, you're going to be very, very well equipped, well prepared to become a sub 5-minute miler if you're doing those types of workouts. Now those are Vo2Max workouts. That's where you're training basically your maximum heart rate. So you want to do one Vo2Max workout per week. You want to continue to focus on your mileage. Again, you don't need to be doing high mileage to break a 5-minute mile. Like I said, you can, if you're in high school, focus on 20 to 30 miles a week. But again, focus on doing those really quick track workouts where you're running sub 5-minute mile pace. Again, you can only spend a few seconds to a couple minutes running at that type of pace. But again, you're going to be teaching your body to run much faster than sub 5-minute mile pace, and that's going to make 5-minute mile pace itself feel more efficient. You're going to be stronger over those 4 laps than your competition. So you want to also focus on doing those long runs. Yes, you may not be a marathon runner or a 10K specialist. Maybe you're more focused on 100 meters. Maybe you're more of a sprinter and you want to get to a point where you're able to run the mile at a faster distance. Getting out and doing those long runs, even if it's like 7 miles in length to 10 miles in length, it's going to create that. You're going to have that strong foundation of mileage that you've built up in preparing for the mile event. You want to also focus on all the other variables that go into breaking a 5-minute mile, and that is proper nutrition. Get plenty of carbs and protein, especially protein, so your muscles can be repaired from doing those hard workouts. Learn and study as much as you can about glutathione. It's the body's master antioxidant. I'll leave a link below this video in regards to learning more about glutathione. I highly doubt that your competition, whether they're track and field specialist or they're road racing specialist or marathon distance athletes, know anything about it. So the more you can research and study what that is, the better chances you're going to have of breaking the 5-minute mile barrier as well. So nutrition's obviously very important. Laying that strong foundation of mileage, focusing on training well below 5-minute mile pace. Again, you're training more at your Vo2Max, so your maximum oxygen uptake it's where you're running as fast as you possibly can for a few seconds to a few minutes. And that's going to make sub 5-minute mile pace feel much more in control. It's going to hurt regardless. You're trying to run 4 laps at under 75 seconds per lap. So again, you want to train under 75 seconds. You want to get to a point where you're training around 65 seconds to 74 seconds. Get to that, train at that type of pace. That way you can get to a point where 4 laps at 75-second pace feels much more in control. And you'll get to a point where you can run not only 1 mile under sub 5 minutes, in under 5 minutes, but you may be able to, in a couple years or a few months from now, be able to run 2 miles at sub 5-minute mile pace, or maybe 3 miles at sub 5-minute mile pace. Again, it's a long-term mindset that you have to have. You cannot think short-term and be a successful middle distance runner or long distance runner. You have to always think, think long-term. Have short-term goals, but also have long-term goals. I want to break a 5-minute mile. Maybe that's your goal for the next year, the next 5 years. And maybe your long-term goal is to run a 5K at under 5-minute mile pace, or to run 2 miles under 5-minute mile pace. Maybe it's to run a half marathon at maybe 6-minute mile pace. Whatever goal you have, always know that the best middle distance runners and long distance runners always think long term. They always have a long term vision of what they want to do. I know in high school I was wanting, my goal was to break a 4-minute mile, but I didn't realize in high school that I would later be a marathon runner and eventually break 2 hours and 20 minutes and hold 5 minutes and 19 seconds per mile over 26 miles. But I do know, the question of how to break 5 minutes in the mile is a common question a lot of athletes ask, and it all comes down to getting accustomed to running and training below that sub 5-minute mile pace. If you can spend a little bit of time training even at 4-minute mile pace, now granted it's only for a few seconds, but if you can go and you can do maybe 6 to 8 200-meter reps at 29 to 30 or at 30-second pace, 29 seconds to 30-second pace. Whew, how easy is running 75-second per quarter going to feel? That's the key. I always even in the running courses that I have on RunDreamAchieve.com and in my training programs, I always focus on what is the pace the athlete's training to race at over their given distance, and what do we need to do in order to make race pace feel more in control. So my plan of attack when I was training for the mile, and even as I'm training now for the marathon distance, it's always focused around running well below goal marathon pace or goal race pace, coupled with doing other things that my competitors may not be focusing on. Maybe my competitors are running too fast on their easy days. Maybe they're not researching, they're not digging into the books and into the medical peer-reviewed articles about glutathione or about how to recruit more fast twitch muscle fibers. There's a lot of things that a lot of athletes, yes, they go out and they run the distance, but they're not running enough of their weekly volume at goal race pace, near goal race pace, or training far below sub 5-minute mile pace in this case. You can get out on the roads and do those fartlek workouts, maybe as you're just building your fitness, maybe doing 10 minutes of 1 minute hard, 1 minute easy may challenge you, and it's going to be hard early on. It takes time to build into a sub 5-minute mile pace, so try doing fartlek workouts where you're running 1 minute hard at your VO2 effort, and then 1 minute hard, 1 minute easy, and then back into 1 minute hard at your VO2 effort. So, and then as you get fitter, you want to extend the amount of time you're spending at your fartlek effort. Maybe it's 5 minutes or 1 minute hard, 1 minute easy for 10 minutes early on. And then later on, as you're really getting fit, maybe you can do 20 minutes to 30 minutes doing 1 minute hard, 1 minute easy for your fartlek effort. So there's so many different ways of, how to break 5 minutes in the mile. There's so many ways to do that. There's so many different workouts. But the key thing to always keep in mind is, one, recovery, making sure that you're recovered from your hard training that you're doing on the track, on the roads. Two is training below 5 minute mile pace. Three is training much, much faster than goal race pace. So spend a little bit of time at, between 4 minute mile pace and 4:30 mile pace. That's going to make you really well equipped, really efficient at running 4 laps at 75-second pace. So, and lastly is, you've got to be patient. You have to know that if you have limited overall leg speed, it may take you a couple years to break a 5 minute mile, where it may take somebody with talent a few weeks or a few months to break a sub 5 minute mile. You may have somebody that's extremely talented that has put in more work over a longer period of time, who can run 5 minute mile pace or under 5 minute mile pace for a 5K, a 10K, a half marathon, or even a marathon distance, or marathon specialist. So right now, just think, what is my strength? Where am I currently at? I'm a 6 minute miler right now, or maybe I'm a 7 minute miler and I dream of breaking a 5 minute mile someday. Always continue to focus in on running, teaching yourself to get efficient at running at race pace. And think long term. Don't get discouraged when you're preparing for the mile. Get out on the track. If you don't have teammates to work out with and to prepare with, remind yourself continually of what you're trying to do. If you want to become a 4:59 miler, then continue to write down your goals. Visualize yourself breaking the 5 minute mile barrier. It's going to happen. It's not a question of if, it's a question of when. And I always tell athletes just to stay committed, stay persistent, stay focused and driven toward what you're trying to do, and you'll break the 5 minute mile barrier. If you're brand new to the channel, click subscribe, click on the bell icon. My name's Nate Pennington. I'm the founder of RunDreamAchieve.com. I've been competing for 28 years, and I do have some experience with the mile. I have a personal best of 4:22. I've also specialized in more of the longer distances. I ran 15:19 for 5K when I was in college. But even that, for a lot of athletes that are hearing that, 15:19 doesn't equate really to a sub 2:20 marathon. So I had limited speed. I had limited talent. I had to really focus more on my work ethic and drive and focus and long-term vision to run the types of times I've run. 31:09 for 10K, 1:07:06 for the half marathon, 1:44:05 for 20 miles. It's a 5:11 mile pace for 20. And then 2:19:35 for the marathon. So I just want to encourage you with your goal of breaking 5 minutes, that you can do it. Stay committed, believe in what you're doing. Don't lose focus, don't lose enthusiasm for what you're trying to do. Know that what you're trying to do is highly competitive. A sub 5 minute mile is very fast. It takes a committed athlete to be able to hold 75 seconds per quarter for 4 times in a row. There's no breaks in the mile. So get to a point where you can do triple the distance. So get to a point where you're fit enough where you can do 12 times 400 meters on the track in around 74 seconds to 77 seconds per rep. And as you get fitter early on, give yourself more rest. As you get fitter, lessen the rest, but stay focused on that type of intensity. And focus on that taper. Give yourself a 10-day taper going into your big race. Continue to focus on hydration. Do the long runs. It doesn't have to be super long. You're not a marathon runner, so you don't need to be going out doing 20 to 22 mile long runs. Maybe it's 4 to 10 miles in length. Do the long runs. Continue to stay consistent in your training, and you will break the 5 minute barrier. You will run 4:59:59 or faster for the mile. It's all about commitment, thinking long term, and carrying, really focusing in on all the topics that we've covered in this video. So I hope it's been helpful for you. If you have a question regarding the mile or any distance that you're training for, leave me a comment below and let me know your thoughts. And if there's something that I can help you with, whether it's in track and field or road racing or branching out into longer distances, let me know. And I'll talk to you guys in the next video.